on Twitter. All right. Everything's posted. Now I just need... that, and then we're good. Kat, did that work? Did you want me to log? Do you want me to log you in on the website? You sure? Okay.
Everything good there?
Yeah. Just helping Kat with something. Okay. I'm ready to go. You ready to go?
I am ready to go.
All right, here we go.
We are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it is the New York Knicks podcast, episode 562, part of Dash Radio. How you doing, Mark?
Good. I'm staring into the blank void.
Yeah, you're in that good of a mood.
No, I'm just staring at all the Knicks moves so far for the trade deadline.
Oh, yeah, there's been so many. So many.
So much is going on. Leon Rose is gone. He's no longer playing 4D chess. He's playing 5D chess or 6D chess. He's making moves you cannot even see because they're not happening.
It's almost overwhelming.
Overwhelming. So much is going on. Hey, DraftKings is a big sponsor of our show, and I want to tell everyone about a little move I made because I thought it would be helpful. If you live in New York, gambling is now legal on sports in New York. Many sites are offering a promo. DraftKings, which will... Jay, you want to do the DraftKings thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do the DraftKings thing, and I totally have
You don't
it
have
up
it.
right
Well,
now. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well,
Here's some big news just in time for the Super Bowl. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is officially live right here in New York State with mobile sports. That means you can place a bet no matter where you are. Like yesterday, where I almost hit a 12 parlay stack, and I would have made 65 times my money. You could do that with DraftKings Sportsbook, and DraftKings is making it even more exciting. Listen to this. DraftKings is giving new customers a special offer that you don't want to miss. Just bet $5 or more on Super Bowl and win $280 in free bets if your team is victorious. I just put mine on the Bengals. Don't know too much about either team, but I know Brink of Sanity co-host Bry is a fan of the Bengals, so I figured I'd put money on them.
I've yet to use the app. I'm going to use the app now. And I thought if you live in New York and you have not placed any bets yet, it's a pretty cool offer because you can do the $5 bet with DraftKings for $208. And then they have, I don't want to name their competitors, but one of their competitors is offering $5 for $280, a similar offer basically. So if you bet $5 with DraftKings and $5 with their competitor, you are guaranteed to win as long as you pick both teams.
Right. So you could do a couple parlays like total touchdown yardage, most first downs, and most receptions, and you got more money the more different things you pick if they all come in. It's pretty fun. Anyway, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit, withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up using code NYKP and bet just $5 or more and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's code NYKP this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full details. Must be 21 plus and physically present in New York. Gambling problems? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. All right.
Also, if they do allow you to make the bet on over under number of moves Knicks make at the deadline, I would go under. Put a lot of money in the under.
So let's just jump right into it. It's about 18 hours before the trade deadline.
Yes, we are going to do a special emergency show if anything interesting happens tomorrow. Assuming nothing does, this will be our discussion about the trade deadline, right, Jay?
Yeah. So we were thinking we might have to do a trade deadline special, and now it's looking more and more like we will not have to do that.
Did you know we already did our trade deadline special when we talked about Cam Reddish a couple weeks ago? That was it.
So yeah, the apparently that was the one big move. What happened is the rumors came out that the Knicks were shopping their vet, and people were getting excited. Their vets, shopping their vets, yeah. And people were excited. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna make room for all the young guys." And then I think the league, people quickly realized that the league doesn't want any of the Knicks vets.
We seem to have gone through a little cycle of, hey, this offseason is going to be awesome. The Knicks have so much cap space, and we've been waiting for the summer when the Knicks would have so much cap space for so long. Great. Then a little bit while later, oh, that's weird. Knicks no longer have cap space, and we've kind of signed the same roster and made a couple of extra moves. I thought cap space mattered. Oh, cap space doesn't matter anymore? Oh, the guys we signed are all good contracts that are easily tradable? A couple months later, yeah, these contracts aren't movable. No one you signed is good, and you may have to add a draft pick if you want to move any of these contracts.
The thing is, like, Fournier is playing well, and he's playing up to his contract, but it's $17 million. So if you trade him, you have to take back around $17 million. It's either going to be a really bad contract, or it's going to be like a lateral move where it's not going to make you much better. So
you can only really get out of the contract at the very
right.
Like you can trade it to get less year. It's hard to. I don't know if the Knicks have anyone they're going to get draft picks for, or really much of anything. I think the league is on to the fact that the Knicks will probably cut or buy out Kemba after the trade deadline. So that makes it unlikely anyone's going to give you anything for Kemba. Burks has been playing like absolute trash lately. So, I mean, the Jazz could use a guy like Burks in theory. Burks went to Utah and played like complete garbage. So that probably just told the Jazz, like, we do not want him back. Yeah, I don't know what we could do at the deadline, Jay.
Yeah, the thing is, I think playing Burks at the point killed his trade value, because if he was playing like he was last season, other teams would want him. But taking a look at the way he's been playing lately, which is out of position, not too appealing. Noel plays like 2 games and gets hurt. He just can't stay healthy. Nobody wants to touch that. And that's the vets.
I'm going to give you some good trade deadline news.
Okay. And
I'm going to get you the reaction, Jay.
Okay.
This is from NBA Trade Report on Twitter. Could be a real source or not. I mean, who the hell really knows?
Uh-huh.
But it says sources. Lakers try to engage Knicks in potential Russell Westbrook trade, and the Knicks declined.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, so that makes me being like, yes, Knicks are getting a little smarter. But on the one hand, see, what I don't know is if Leon Rose answered the phone and said, I appreciate the offer, Lakers, but I'm sorry, we're not this dumb. Well, I don't know if he said that, then hung up and turned to whoever was in the room and said, we're not that dumb. We'll get him when he's bought out. This summer of Westbrook. I just don't know if that part happened.
Right.
I just know he wasn't ready to do it right now. I just don't know if he thinks he's playing 4D chess by getting him this summer. But
I mean, Westbrook at $3 million is a lot different than Westbrook at $47 million. So
Yes.
I could talk myself into $3 million Westbrook.
Do you think the solution to the Knicks' problems are, hey, Julius Randle has been really, really inefficient this year. Is there any way we can get a guy that shoots at really high volume as well, who's even less efficient? Is there any? There's a lot of positive. Like it just, I don't know if Westbrook and I could talk myself into Westbrook if Randle wasn't here, but at the combo. Makes me a little sick to the stomach.
Yeah, Randall's been good for the last 5 games, not so much for the first 50 games.
The last 4 games, at least, he's been averaging, I think, 28, 29 points a game. He's been playing in February, just 4 games. He's been playing the level I think he's shooting about 46% from the field, about 35% from 3, which the 3 could be a little higher, and averaging, I think, close to 30 points a game. So, he's also on the court just noticeably. He's playing faster. He's not just dribbling the ball and making dumb decisions. It seems like he's overall trying to play better, play more up tempo, and playing a little better defense.
Yeah.
Somehow he's been rejuvenated in February, just in time for the season to be over.
Yeah. So recap of all the games last week. Knicks lost them all. They blew.
The Knicks are practicing for the rest of the season.
They either blew big leads or just were blown out the entire game.
They were in 3 of the 4 games. In 3 of the 4 games, you thought they had a shot.
Well, the Lakers, they were up by over 20 and still managed to mess that up.
Well, let's see. The Memphis game, the Knicks kind of came back later in the game. At some point, I thought the Knicks had a shot. I mean, Memphis seemed to just outplay the Knicks. But the next 2 games really looked very winnable. The Knicks should have beaten the Lakers clearly, and the Knicks they should have. What was the other one? They should have beaten. Who am I missing? The Lakers and the Jazz. I mean, maybe they shouldn't have beaten. They had a good shot against the Jazz.
Yeah, they had a really good chance of beating them.
They were up for a while. It was the Jazz game was one of those games where I was just waiting at the Knicks blew it in the fourth quarter, but it was one of those games I was like. I know they're going to lose. I can barely stay awake right now, but I know they're going to lose. All I know is they're going to blow this game. There's just no way they're going to.
But the exciting part is how.
Yes, the exciting part is how. The Denver game, my biggest takeaway from the Denver game, well, I had 2 big takeaways. One is if your best young player has an opportunity to get injured, you want to leave him in the game to get injured. When you're down by 30 points. It just doesn't matter. Give him all opportunities to get injured. What do you think about RJ Barrett being in the game with down by 20 in the closing minute and getting injured?
It was so ridiculous. He said he was seeing if they would go on a run. RJ hurt his ankle with 30 seconds left, and they were down by 15. What are you doing? Why are you doing that?
First, the Knicks started to go on a run at the end of the game. And so it was about 6 minutes to go in the game. They had the bench on. And I even myself was put back in Randall and RJ. The Knicks were down by 15. They were down by 14. If they hit a couple threes, they would have closed the gap to below 10. There was a chance the Knicks were going to be back in this and fight at the end. But by the time it hit 2 minutes to go, the game was over.
Yeah, they pulled it within 13. They put Jokic back in. 5 seconds after Jokic gets back in, they're down by 20 again. That's when you throw in the towel.
So my biggest takeaway from the game overall, though, is I'm so jealous of Denver Nuggets fans. I'm just watching. They look like such a fun team to watch. You watch a lot of Nuggets, Jay?
I don't, and they looked like that with their second and third best players out for the season.
Yes, that's also the point I was going to make. They're missing Porter. They're missing Nelson. And they look goddamn awesome. I mean, Jokic, I know, is awesome. By the way, Jokic looked like you were the guy from the varsity team is going to play the freshman tonight.
Yeah.
It was just he looked so much bigger than everyone. It's just absurd. And he looked I know he scored 21 points. I think if he came out ahead of time and just said, hey, I can free the hostages if I score 100 points tonight. I'm going to score 100. I think he could score 100 points against the Knicks. If they made it a mission, I think he could have done it.
Yeah, he could probably score in every possession. He likes passing, and
He's an unbelievable passer. He hit so many guys cut so well against him. I mean, everyone the team is moving at all times. They know if they make a good cut, they will be hit with the ball and get an easy score. It's just a very fun team to watch.
He also, I mean, they have a good coach. Like, they go up by 20, they pull Jokic out. The Knicks get within 13, they put Jokic back in. They go up by 20, he's out again. They don't leave their players in a blowout game. And
do you think Jokic at the end of the night was sweating?
Maybe he sweat for like that 2-minute stretch in the fourth where he's like, God damn it, guys, I have to go back in and hit a couple shots. But, like, barely.
I don't even mean like getting nervous. I mean legitimately, did he get any exercise out there? It looked like he's just kind of like lollygag. Like, he obviously plays very hard, but it doesn't even like seem like he's playing that hard to like dominate the Knicks.
I know. Yeah, Rob said, hate to say it, but kind of getting to the point where Thibs might need to go.
Hey, we can talk about it in one moment. The other thing I'd like to say is, as a Knicks fan, I've been talking about building through the draft for so long, and for many years, I'm like, the Knicks need the tank, they need to get a top 5 pick. How jealous can I possibly be of the Denver Nuggets who are like, oh, you need a top 5 pick? Hey, we're going to take someone in the second round, and he'll be one of the best players in the NBA. How do you like that?
Right.
Holy shit. And I was looking back. I just had to look back on who the Knicks took that year. Do you remember who the Knicks took a few picks before that?
What year was this?
I mean, all the years kind of just blend together. It's 2014. This is the year when also was KP and Towns were in the draft. Oh, this is the year before KP and Towns. This is the year before KP and Towns. Whatever. Anyway.
The Knicks the year they took
Cleanthony early.
Yeah, who shot himself in a bar and was never seen again.
Literally shot him.
You can't make this stuff up. Like,
and I know everyone else passed on him also. I mean, obviously, he's a second-round pick. It's just like,
no, it's just funny. League MVP versus shoot himself in a bar.
I'm just so jealous that the Denver Nuggets found the guy in the second round who is unquestionably a top 5 guy in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so does Tibbs need to go? Our first trade deadline move, right?
I mean, I hate changing coaches every 2 years. We were looking at the Knicks coaching history since inception, and for the last 20 years, the Knicks have had one coach that lasted more than 5 years, and most of them were between 1 and 2 years. It was
in the last 20 years.
In the last 20 years, yeah.
Who's lasted more than 5 years in the last 20? Wait, when did Van Gundy leave?
Van Gundy left early, like 2000 or 2001.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. So I was thinking he couldn't count who was here for 5 years.
Maybe that was the last one. Maybe that's who I was thinking of.
I think you're thinking last 30 years. In the last 20, like, it's been just a series of guys here. I mean, I think the longest in the last 20 years was D'Antoni for 3 seasons. Or maybe Woodson was 3 seasons.
Right, yeah, like Rob said, it looks like he's losing the locker room. He's putting players in blowouts. Like, when you're down by 20, you unload the bench and put in the young guys. Like, stop trying to make this epic 20-point comeback with a team with a lineup that went down by 20.
So here's one of the things I think is, if you're a Knicks coach, what is your incentive to do, Jay? Is your incentive to win now at all costs, or is your incentive to think long term?
Your incentive is to win now because coaches get fired so quickly. Like, you need to win to have job security, but you need to win to have
job security or to get your next job.
Right, but are you really doing either if you're leaving your players in a blowout? Like what if Barrett really messed up his ankle and he was out like the rest of the season? Like,
so
what is that doing for his job?
In fairness, that was a freaky thing that happened, and it would legitimately made sense to put Barrett back in the game around 5:30 to go because the Knicks were making a little bit of a run, so that made sense.
Yeah,
and at
absolutely.
that point, maybe you're talking between 4 minutes later, he has this freaky thing happen. Yes, it's a bit freaky, and when you put a guy in 5 minutes to go, it's not absurd to have left him in the game.
But that's when freaky things happen, when it's at the end of a long game and you're more tired. Like, he shouldn't have been in.
Well, why was he tired? Did he play 50 minutes against the Lakers and 43 minutes in a back-to-back?
Seriously, he played something obscene like 128 minutes in 72 hours or something. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is kind of crazy. So you're right in that regard. But I think basically the incentive for Tibbs, basically, and the kind of the mission he was given is just win now. So he's trying as hard as possible to win now. He's also in a situation where his last job, he lost the locker room. And he's probably thinking like the conundrum he has is like you get Cam Reddish, and well, this guy's really not a win now player. Plus, if I bench Barrett, he's a vet that I feel like has worked really hard for me. Not Barrett, I mean Burks. Burks is a vet that's really given a lot to me, and now I bench him. Do I risk losing the locker room by turning off the vets?
I get all of that. My point is, when it's a blowout, you just bench.
I agree with you.
Every
Jeff.
team does that. Every
Yes.
team. We're down by 20. We lost this game. Throwing in the towel because burning out your players isn't a good strategy either.
I agree. Yes, I don't think I'm just trying to find some way to defend him in this. Not that I have to or anything. I'm just saying, like, from his perspective, yeah, I don't know why he's still in the game. I think it's kind of ridiculous, and he does this a lot. Basically, he rarely. Tibbs has kind of a thing where like you stay in the game, you fight to the last moment, but sometimes you have to be more realistic and more long term in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at the schedule going forward, and do you really want these guys like keep their legs fresh? Like when you lost, you lost.
The other issue for him, and part of a big reason they lost. I mean, the Denver game they were going to lose no matter what. Denver outclassed them, but really the other games especially, the bench has been garbage. Not having Derrick Rose has not helped, obviously. But the bench has given so little in the last few games, or in a while, really.
Yeah.
No matter how much you like IQ, if you just look at the facts of how terrible IQ is shooting, and it's very apparent that anyone watching the Knicks has kind of realized IQ is not a point guard, and it's just hurting him It's like hurting his play playing point guard. So that's not working. Burks is playing like crap. Toppin. The Denver game was the first game I've seen Toppin try to be aggressive in so long. But for the most part, Toppin has not been aggressive. He's hit some shots here and there, but like he's been a disappointment as of late. Reddish played the last 2 games. He hasn't given you much of anything. The bench has been a joke.
I mean, the IQ 35-foot shots, like with five seconds into the shot clock. First of all, he sucks at shooting them. And he feels like I need to take like 3 of these a game. And it's like you're shooting like 10% below league average. Stop doing that. It's so annoying. I think Anthony said he took the Knicks out of the comeback by taking 2 30-foot shots, 35-foot shots down the stretch.
Did you notice, by the way? I mean, I don't notice anyone mentioning this, but did you notice IQ plays for Denver? Do you know what I'm talking about? Emmanuel quickly is on the Nuggets. Bones Highland is the exact same player.
Yeah, except Bones is a lot better.
I mean, he looked a lot better. If you look at his numbers for the season, they're kind of mediocre and suck also.
He's got a cooler name.
He definitely has a cooler name. No question. Bones is a much better name than IQ. But if you look at Bones' numbers, they're kind of similar to IQ's. And he seems to be very similar player. Like as far as like taking like the knucklehead threes and everything else.
Right.
It's just fun. He was drafted this past year at the 26th pick. They look kind of the same size. I thought they looked so similar. I was like, how the hell do the Nuggets have the IQ doppelganger?
Right.
It's just whatever. He played a lot better last night, but overall he's been the same. It looks like that's the first time I've seen Bones play, but at least his numbers look like he's the same shit that IQ is now. But yeah, like IQ at the end of the Denver game or later in the game, at some point he was driving to the basket, trying to get fouled, and like he was just doing a little more of the smart play at some point. Why don't they play McBride? You have no one playing the point guard position who's actually a point guard.
Right, Kemba's the only point guard, and he's like almost completely washed up.
I forgot about Kemba. Yes, Kemba's completely washed up. Burks and Quickly are clearly not point guards, and it's hurting their play. McBride is an actual point guard. I don't know if he's good, but he's averaging 30 points a game in the G League. Give him a shot.
I mean, what's going to happen if they put him in and he's not good? They're going to lose by 20?
People are like, he's not ready. Like, what's the difference? The team is going to lose anyway. Why not do some development while you're losing?
Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, the playing game is looking like a stretch to even. I can't see them right now. The 10th spot is the Hawks, and the Hawks are playing well, and they're playing way better than the Knicks. And I don't see the Knicks taking over that last spot. Maybe Charlotte keeps tumbling, and you're holding out hope that like the Wizards and the Hornets are going to a free fall, and the Knicks suddenly like pick it up and they sneak into the 10th spot, where they might play the Nets, and or like even if they win that, it's like okay, well now you're playing the Heat and you're gonna get swept. Like there's no point.
Right, and you almost feel like if Knicks sneak into the 10th seed, the Knicks will be like, yeah, we're still a winning organization. We made the playoffs last year. Let's go all in on this roster. Like they'll like have something dumb. I almost want them to miss the playoffs. I'd like a little bit higher of a draft pick, but I guess I'd almost want them to miss the playoffs just so they understand this roster is not working and you need to make changes.
Right. Yeah, Rob
changes,
asked, should the Knicks have done to Randall what the Nets did to Russell after his breakout season? Remember D'Angelo Russell won?
Yeah,
he won Rookie of the Year, right? And then they traded him.
No, not Rookie of the Year. He won. You mean Most Improved Player?
Oh yeah, he made the All-Star game, and then they traded him.
Right. Didn't they trade him when they got Kevin Durant?
You know what's? I was playing NBA.
Like that was part of clearing cap space to get Durant. So I don't. If we're gonna get Durant next year, then sure, I'll clear cap. But yes, I understand the whole sell high. It was a tough thing because Randall really looked really good last year. It was hard to really sell high on him when you were like, this guy's maybe he just turned a corner.
Right. I was playing 2K20, and Russell is on the Nets all-time team. Isn't that weird?
Is it the Brooklyn all-time team or the New Jersey Net all-time team?
The New Jersey Nets, because they had Petrovic and Dr. J and.
Oh, then that's really weird. That's really weird.
It was real. He's not in the 2K22, which I just played, but he was. I don't understand how he even made any.
I mean, the Jason Kidd Nets they had a lot of good players. Just those teams alone.
Yeah.
Whatever. So trade deadline. You want to talk some trade deadline, Jay?
Yeah. Do you want to go through the moves?
Yeah. Oh, actually, I have a question. Here's the. So someone mentioned this to me, and I would like to hear your thoughts on this move. And right now, it looks like James Harden and Ben Simmons will be traded for each other. We'll see what happens, but here's the move: the Lakers trade LeBron James for Ben Simmons. Would you do this? Like, who says no? Who does this not work for?
Who says no? Honestly, I think the Lakers say no.
Here's the case. The case for the Lakers, they are not winning the title this year. Anthony Davis is not over the hill. LeBron is still not over the hill, but he probably does not have many good seasons left. You team Ben Simmons and Anthony Davis, and you have a longer window, and you have something to build. You have something really to build on right there. And if you're the Philly, you don't want to waste any years of Embiid. And adding LeBron would very good chance you go to the finals this year if you add LeBron.
Well, that's the thing. LeBron's playing better than Ben Simmons is even capable of playing right now. So if you're the Lakers, you're downgrading your team.
No, but you're absolutely downgrading your team. But you're also admitting we weren't going to win this year. How many more good years does LeBron have? What is Ben Simmons, 24, 25 years old?
I don't know if Ben Simmons in a top 2 market in the country is a good idea. I don't think he should. I don't think it's going to work in Brooklyn. I don't think it's. I don't think LA is good. I don't think it's good. I think he should go to like Memphis or OKC.
Are you saying that you think he may find reason not to play for the Lakers after being traded?
Oh my God, that would be so funny. By the way, if this trade happens tomorrow, the Brooklyn Big Three, where they talked all that trash, they played 10 games together.
I hope for Ben Simmons' career, he ends up not playing for all 30 teams in the NBA.
He's like, you know what? I don't really like this either. And Harden's like, I'm just going to show up fat and then try and force my way out after 18 months.
You know what the hilarious part also with that is? Like for a long time they were like, well, Kyrie's not playing for the Nets, Simmons is not not playing, and so finally they're like, Kyrie can play, and Harden's like, I'll take his place in the trade.
It's like, I mean, Harden has now shown up fat to 2 straight teams and played like crap on purpose to get traded. Like, if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is.
I don't know. I mean, but Daryl Morey has lived through it, and he's fine with getting him back. If the there's a couple of trade rumors going, it seems like it might be something along the lines of Ben Simmons and Seth Curry for James Harden. It's kind of a win-win for both teams, I think.
Yeah. I don't like it because it might make the Nets better, and they've lost 9 in a row, and I'm kind of liking this.
I think that's a pretty good reason not to like it. But for Philly, I don't think you want to waste seasons of Embiid's career, especially when he's playing this well. So forgetting them, the Knicks had their eyes on some players. What happened to all those players at the trade deadline, Jay?
The Nets players?
The Knicks had their eyes on certain players.
Oh.
They had their eyes on De'Aaron Fox. Turns out he can't be traded because Sacramento traded Tyrese Halliburton. Do you want to go on? Or
Yeah, they traded Halliburton, Hield, who I've had my eye on since his rookie year, and Tristan Thompson to Sacramento for Sabonis, Lamb, Justin Holiday, and a second-round pick.
So Tyrese Halliburton, by the way, who's already so much better than Obi, and plays a position we really need a guy to play. Was also now the centerpiece on a trade for an all-star.
This trade crushed me, absolutely crushed me. I mean, first of all, the Knicks should have just drafted. I know everyone's like, first of all, I don't even understand. Everyone's like, oh, it was Obi, it was a great pick, but then everyone complains that they don't have a point guard. I'm like, well, then it wasn't a great pick, because a point guard was right there for them to take. Now Knicks fans want the Knicks to like trade all these assets for a point guard when they could have just drafted one. It doesn't. And now everyone's saying that the Knicks were about to trade Randall and then he played good and they decided not to. I still say, even if you were going to trade Randall, you should have drafted Halliburton, because point guard is the easiest position in the entire league to fill. There's like a crazy
There's so
surplus
many
of power
but
forwards.
not for the Knicks. Yeah.
I mean, Indiana wants to get rid of all their power forwards. You could have had your pick of that. And so just to see Halliburton get traded with Hield, and now that they did that, they're not going to trade Fox. I know people are saying, oh, well, they have Mitchell. You know what? Most teams have 2 point guards. Most teams have 2 capable point guards that are able to play. So yes, they're going to keep Mitchell. They're going to keep Fox. They got rid of Halliburton. They're set, and we're not going to get them.
That draft, by the way, the more you look at it, and the more the way the players are looking, the Knicks. I mean, Leon Rose's first draft, which he got so much credit for, he shit the bed in that. He screwed up completely the Obi pick. And Obi may turn out to be an okay player, but Tyrese Halliburton's looking so much better.
It was a horrible pick. It was. I like Obi, I do, but it was a horrible, horrible pick. I don't know how more people aren't saying that the ex-CAA agent picked the CAA guy over the only position that the Knicks needed to fill. The Knicks had a capable starter in the other 4 positions. It made no sense.
They were rumors the Knicks were going to try to trade up to get Obi, which would have even been more brutal.
Yeah, the story that reported was like Leon Rose was like infatuated with Obi, and he didn't expect him to drop like he did. It still doesn't matter. It was the only position that the Knicks needed to fill, and they did not fill it. That is a huge failure.
But it's also like, if you are going to make that move, and we shouldn't relitigate this, but if you're going to make that move, you really need to clear the other guy. that's good that plays his position, for that whatever. And the second pick in that draft, IQ, I like IQ to a certain extent. And again, later in the draft, everyone it's really just becomes so much more of a crapshoot. But Desmond Bane, who I remember at the time people being like, this guy can shoot. He's one of the best shooters in the draft. Could have taken Desmond Bane at 25 and gotten IQ with the 31st or 32nd pick in the draft. The Knicks could have easily had IQ. IQ was projected to the second round. The Knicks took him in the first round because they were so sure about him. He doesn't look that great. Bane looks like he's going to be an all-star. And again, I'm just pointing out more of just the Knicks, that whole, if you look at that draft now, the Knicks got two guys who are borderline rotation pieces. And then in year 2, they got Grimes looks pretty good, and all the other guys really haven't played, so I don't really know how good they are.
Yeah, so they had a top 10 pick, and they don't have a starting caliber player.
Right, and I also know they had 2 first-round picks this past year, and they converted that into Grimes looks pretty good, and Cam Reddish, who the coach refuses to play. And again, they had 4 first-round picks in 2 years and used none of the picks on a point guard.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, that's McBride, but whatever.
Yeah, but he was a second-round pick, though. It wasn't even the first round.
Yep.
Let's go to some questions, Jay.
You don't want to go over the other trades?
Oh, what else happened, Jay?
Well, Portland blew it up.
They did.
They traded Powell and Covington for Bledsoe, Winslow, Keon Johnson, and a second. So they gave away the 2 best players in that trade.
I don't understand what they're doing. There's rumors there might be in on Jeremy Grant. They're trying to rejigger the roster around Dame. They're keeping Dame.
Right, but then they traded Snell, who hasn't missed a free throw in 3 years, by the way, Larry Nance Jr. and C.J. McCollum for 1 first, top 4 protected, 2 seconds, Hart, Alexander Walker, Satoransky, and Luzada. So again, they traded the best player.
I don't know what they're doing.
And then they made a third move.
What was the third move? I missed this.
Then they traded Alexander Walker, who they just got, Juan Hernan Gomez, Satoransky, who I like, and they got Ingles, who is out for the season and is a free agent, and Elijah Hughes and 2 second-rounders. So again, they traded the best player in the trade. So they traded, they lost all 3 trades, I think, and out of it, they ended up with 4 second-rounders and a top 4 protected first.
Right, and I guess they have a lot of cap space going into.
They have a lot of cap space, but Portland hasn't been a huge free agent destination, and now you have Simmons and nothing surrounding Lillard. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, Anthony Simons, you mean? Or is it Simmons?
Simons.
Yeah, Simons. And Dame's coming off some major stomach injury or ab injury. So I don't know if it's gonna be a draw when you're Dame is 32, 33, coming off the worst season of his career, and a major injury, and the supporting cast is not there. But sign here.
Yeah, and the last trade was Indiana basically gave LeVert to the Cavs and a second-round pick for Ricky Rubio, a first and 2 seconds. So the Cavs ended up with LeVert and Jarrett Allen from the Nets Harden trade.
Pretty good. That's pretty good. The Cavs are going to be I like what the Cavs did, and if you're the Pacers, you just can use more first-round picks.
Cavs got a lot better, and they were already good.
The Cavs and the Bulls got better real fast. I know there's also a narrative online where people are like, yeah, well, the Cavs and the Bulls didn't really pass us. I mean, because we were good last year. They're not good. So we did it before them. Yeah, but they both look like they're going to be good for a while. So, and we're not good now, so it doesn't really matter. It's not a competition to who did it first. It's who's good now.
Yeah.
They clearly passed us, basically.
Clearly.
Some questions. Jojo Pellegrino on Twitter writes, with the trade deadline looming and no real trades in sight, is this a washed season? Is Tibbs the coach of the future? We have talent, but it seems the coaching staff can't figure out rotation and don't have a solid game plan. Who's your next coach? So basically, first, Jay, is this a washed season? Is this season has this? What are the bright
It's
spots?
over. It's over. They have the second most difficult schedule. I think in the next 12 games they have like two. They're playing two bad teams, and it's the Wizards and the Kings.
Yes,
We don't even know if
we
they're going
got
to beat them at this point.
the Knicks will probably end up with around the 9th or 10th pick in the draft. They have to nail that pick, and RJ keeps developing when he gets back from his injury, I guess. And I don't know what else. I don't. There's not much to gain from this season. By the way, the Knicks have made one move. They hired Gerson Rosas as a consultant.
There's your big move. Robert Randolph was right. The Knicks were going to make a big move today.
He replaced Tibbs as the acting GM of the Timberwolves after Tibbs left. So we're getting the best GM mind from the Timberwolves.
Cool.
I'm sure it's just like the Knicks are like, hey, why didn't you just have competent people in place already?
Right.
But is Tibbs, if you had to make a bet, Jay, say on DraftKings, would you bet Tibbs is in or out?
In.
I think he's coming back next year. I agree. I think he's back next year. You agree?
I agree. I mean, there's rumors that they're not seeing eye to eye, and he didn't want Cam, and that's why Cam didn't play until half the guards got injured. But I think Rose is also about image, and firing yet another coach 2 years into a 4-year contract or 5-year contract is not a good look. And I think he'll give Tibbs at least one more year.
I mean, part of the problem here is that, by the way, on Twitter, just everyone will blame everyone, the Knicks, for everything, but no one seems to want to blame Leon Rose for anything. Leon Rose had very little experience going into this job. I mean, he was very prolific agent, but really wasn't necessarily qualified to jump in as the team president.
I just don't think enough is being said about him choosing a player from his old agency over the one position the Knicks needed. I can't stop thinking about it, and I can't get over the Halliburton trade. And I think that pick set the team back 5 years. I really do.
Well, I think if you had gotten the Knox or Ntilikina pick right, then that wouldn't be so damaging. It's just that continued top 10 picks, blowing top 10 pick after top 10 pick after top 10 pick adds up. But I was going to say is that I don't know how frequently Leon Rose and Tibbs talk. They may have 7-hour conversations every day. I don't really know. They could write each other love letters. But I hope there's a continuous dialogue so the two are on the same page. The Cam Reddish trade really did not look like they were on the same page, and that concerns me because it's very dysfunctional not to be on the same page as your coach. Michael B. Sorden writes.
Wait. So we have some good news from Andrew. Rosas, who was hired by the Minnesota Timberwolves, you just talked about that?
Mm-hmm.
He was relieved of his duties in 2021 due to inappropriate workplace relationship and contributing to a general toxic culture within the organization.
So he's getting Isaiah Thomas's old role?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Are you
This team is amazing. It's just, it never ends. It really never ends.
Okay. Michael B., let's go through the rest of the questions real fast. Michael B. Soren writes, Deuce tears up the G League when he plays as a point guard. Don't you think that would at least translate into something slightly better than what we've been getting from Kemba Burks?
Yeah, I do. Even if he's not, do you really think that he would be any worse than Kemba at this point?
He can't be worse. I mean, at the very least, he could be a 0, which is pretty much what Kemba and Burks are giving you. Plus, you might want to develop him. So there's no way to really, quote unquote, lose by playing Deuce over these guys. Also, you're going to lose the locker room. You already publicly benched Kemba. What's the difference?
I know. It's like you benched him with no notice and no explanation. Like,
I'm assuming that the Knicks were hoping, like he was under orders from the front office to play Kemba, and I'm assuming Thursday night against the Golden State Warriors, Kemba will not be starting, much less playing, and likely will have already been bought out. That's what I'm assuming will happen. When the Knicks roll out the exact same starting lineup, I'm going to scream.
The Knicks are now 7 games below 500. I don't think playing McBride is going to tank this team's trajectory.
Jay, what seems more likely? What's the Knicks record right now? 24 and 20 and 30? 24 and 31?
24 and 31.
I don't want to be a pessimist, but what seems more likely to you right now, looking at this difficult schedule and how poorly the Knicks are playing?
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks make the 10th seed and get the play-in,
Mm-hmm.
or the Knicks lose 50 games.
How many games are left? They played 55. They have 26 games.
I'll give it
27.
to you easy, Jay. Jay, the Knicks have to win 8 games, and they have to win 9 games not to lose 50.
They're going to lose 50.
Do you see them winning 9 games the rest of the way?
No.
I mean, they get Derrick Rose back, but
Oh God! The Knicks. Everyone's saying that the Knicks were The Knicks were below 500 with Derrick Rose in the lineup.
They're acting like the Knicks were so good before Rose, and then like they just crushed the season. The Knicks were dysfunctional and bad when Rose was playing. That was the whole thing about how the starters suck, but at least the bench is good.
Yeah, I mean the bench looked a lot better, but they were still losing games. I think they were 11 and 13 with Rose in the lineup.
They act like Rose got injured when the Knicks were 4-1, and the season's been a disaster since.
Right.
Anyway, NK fan writes, what the fuck with the Knicks front office is my question. John writes, love the show. What is the reason behind Julius Randle's play as of late? Great numbers and more overall effort, even playing some defense. Where the hell was this for the first 50-plus games? We would be in the playoff hunt if he was playing like this now. Why do you think why do you think Randle's playing better?
It's completely inexplicable. I don't know. It's like he
can
turn it on and off, and I don't know what is his motivation.
Only thing I gather is that he had some altercation with one of the Knicks coaches who tried to show him something on a laptop screen.
Yeah.
And so I think the Knicks should make sure an assistant coach tries to show Randle something on a laptop every game, because apparently that motivates him.
I wonder if it was just his plus minus of minus 138.
Anthony writes, why the F RJ Barrett was on the floor in garbage time, and with him getting injured late, do you guys think front office steps up and had a talk with Tibbs? No, I don't think the front office.
No, I think they barely talk.
I think it. I also think that's also, your coach should also just be smart enough not to. I don't. This team is just like, it just tests you all the time. It tests your ability. Like, I don't know why I'm addicted to this team. I can't stop watching. It's awful. It's not like I married this team. It's not like they're my family. Why do I have to keep watching and like living and dying with this team?
I've tried very hard today to not have an episode that's just incoherent screaming.
I need the trade deadline to pass just so I can get stuff done at work. I just keep going on Twitter to see nothing happening.
I know.
David writes, are we missing out on the trade opportunities because we have junk pieces, or is Leon letting us down?
Both.
Yep. Greg writes, would you have given Randle and RJ for the Halliburton package?
No, I would have drafted Halliburton, and we wouldn't have had.
Well, yes,
anything.
Jay.
God,
that wasn't the question, Jay. You got to answer the question. Would you give up Randle and Barrett for Tyrese? I'm gonna say no. I would not trade RJ for Halliburton. I think RJ is going to be a better player than Halliburton. That said, I would love to have seen Halliburton with Barrett, and I would have traded Randle for.
Yeah, I would have done Randle. I don't know.
I would have traded Obi for Halliburton.
I would have traded Randle and take your pick of anybody except Barrett.
I also would have traded Randle for Fox. Paul writes, is it worth going for Brogdon? I wouldn't mind Heald with Brogdon. Heald gone now, but maybe that's too much money. Seems we have to expect not to get the pieces we want, but if we were going to have a placeholders, should at least be a step forward. A healthy Brogdon is a pretty decent point guard.
A healthy Brogdon is very good. He does miss about 30 games every single year.
it also is weird that the Knicks would go all in. They'd have to probably trade a lot to get. Like the Knicks would pay $20 million for a second-round point guard, but not just develop the second-round point guard they currently have. Like Brogdon was a second-round pick. I'm just saying the Knicks have to do the hard work of developing players out of the draft.
Andrew's saying you can't trade for Brogdon because he recently got an extension, which probably makes Leon Rose really sad because he's a CAA agent and wants to collect all the CAA players.
Okay. Well, Greg's writes, would you have given – he wrote the same question twice. Yeah. So nothing – tomorrow at 3 o'clock, there'll be just a state of sad – what will the – let's just go through some of the reactions you're going to see on Knicks Twitter tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I'll start. Well, there just weren't any moves to make. Leon Rose is smarter than everyone else.
Damn, he stole mine.
Leon's playing – go.
What the hell is Leon Rose doing? He should have traded for Giannis. It's going to be something like ridiculous, like
the other way.
Yeah.
Why didn't Leon Rose package somewhere? By the way, I saw someone refer to the Knicks surplus of first-round picks, and I was like, surplus? The Knicks have one extra draft pick. They have their own draft first-round picks coming up and one extra in the Dallas pick. So I wrote to the guy. I wrote back. I was like, what do you mean surplus? He's like, yeah, they have one extra pick. I'm like, surplus makes it sound like you have a lot of extra draft picks.
The Knicks fans are so used to having them trade all the picks that they think they have this like treasure trove because there's one extra pick in there.
They think, you know what? We've worked it out that every year we have a first-round draft pick.
Andrew said don't talk about the war chest.
Yeah, it's the war chest. Oh, my God.
Do you remember we got into an argument with some guy on Twitter because he kept saying we had a war chest of picks and it was like two extras?
I mean, I understand the Knicks have 17 second-round picks they're not going to use, but
they'll try and flip them for a third-rounder.
They're just going to trade their second-round picks back until they have 1 year where they have all the second-round picks. Like the 2037 draft, the Knicks are going to be like, the second round is the Knicks.
It's going to be like the 52nd through 60th picks, though.
Yeah. The Knicks will be like, hey, your star player, what if we give you 47 second-round picks for him? What do you think? You want to do it? I am surprised, on a side note, that OKC is not in on anything in the deadline. They do have 1 million draft picks.
They do. They do have a lot.
They have an actual war chest.
That's a war chest.
Yeah.
Houston has a war chest now.
Yeah. The Knicks have one extra pick.
It's basically just the normal amount of picks.
They had 2 extra picks, but they converted one of them into Cam Reddish, which we'll have to wait till next year to find out if he's good.
Cool.
Yeah, Knicks Twitter is just going to no matter what. Yes, either an overreaction that the Knicks didn't trade for for the entire NBA and the entire all NBA first team or people just saying Leon's a goddamn genius. They'll say Leon's a genius, but that coach he hired is terrible. But that's not Leon's fault.
By the way, if you're in, just don't message Rose's family yelling at them. That's not cool. People are actually doing that.
They're messaging Leon Rose's family?
Yeah, they're messaging his daughter and being tell Leon to make a trade. Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes without saying, don't message Julius Randle's wife or anyone else related to. Don't even just. I mean, obviously, just talk amongst yourselves and other Knicks fans' accounts, and don't even message you don't have to really message the players. But if you want to, that's fine. That comes with the territory. But leave everyone else out of it, basically.
All right. So we are nyknickspodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us. nyknickspodcast on Facebook, Instagram. I've posted all the links on, also on Twitter. I posted all the links to our Discord on there too, so you can do that.
If you're an NBA player, should a team like the Knicks have something where we can go into your social media and remove all mentions of you and the Knicks in your social media, so you can Randall can look at social media and see nothing about himself.
I think you could mute words. Yeah.
I don't know, because I feel like that would be really healthy for every NBA player or anyone in sports, really. Like anyone who's going to have like such like obviously you like to have praise on like any Knicks player probably should not look at social media because social media is just like a toxic place, and you would lose your mind reading all the comments from all the insane fans like ourselves.
Yep. So you could also go to NewYorkKnicksPodcast.com. I would like to thank John for buying our second to last Knicks podcast shirt. So if you want the last one,
yes,
get it while it's hot.
Can we turn that last T-shirt into an NFT?
I was thinking of trading that shirt down for 2 T-shirts, 2 tank tops.
And then trade the tank tops for socks.
Yeah.
Okay, your last prediction, Jay, for what will happen. Will anything at all happen tomorrow? What's your boldest prediction? Let's say something happens. What will it be? Besides Kemba getting bought out.
I think it's going to be some like really end of the bench move, like Sims for some other guy we barely heard about.
Don't trade Sims. Don't even say that.
I don't want them to. I'm just thinking who's like the guy at the farthest end of the bench. Like I really think they're going to make like a peripheral move.
Maybe they get a second round pick for Burks. His contract's not insane.
Maybe, but I feel like they're not going to. Also, we have a Patreon, NY Knicks podcast on Patreon. When we switched hosts for like the 5th time, we lost like 200 and something episodes. I'm uploading all of those to the Patreon. Just doing it so they're there and people want to listen to them can. I'm not trying to make a ton of money. Sign up for $1 for 1 month and download them all. I don't care, but they're there. So it helps.
Jay said it. Jay set it up basically. It's just they're on there, so you have to pay $1 just to be on the Patreon to get them all. And you could just stop being a Patreon after that. You can only pay $1 and get all the episodes. I also do have I want to bring back up again. Most of the Patreon is just for show expenses and stuff and so forth. But I do have a mission that if we can get the Patreon up to, I think it was $500 million a month, I will buy the Knicks and we can just run the Knicks team through the podcast.
Yes, that's the top tier right now.
I think if we get that, I think at the end of the year, we'll have $6 billion. And that should be enough money to buy the team and run it for a while. And we'll let the fans vote on all the Knicks moves. We're happy to do that.
And if you've been listening, I've been right about pretty much every draft. So we got that going.
Jay called Porzingis, which in retrospect, who knows? But he called Doncic also. That would have been awesome, but we didn't have the opportunity.
My one more questionable one was I said Ingram was going to have a better career than Simmons, but I think that's debatable now.
Yeah, fair enough. But if we get the $6 billion in 1 year, and by the way, if you put more in, if it's not $500 million, you put $1 billion in a month, we'll have the team in 6 months. Right. As soon as we get to that $6 billion total, I think we'll be good.
Incentive, folks. All right, so thanks for listening. If something crazy happens tomorrow, we will do an emergency episode. If not, we will be back next week to talk about all the games that the Knicks blew.
Jay, what would be your nightmare scenario for tomorrow?
Nightmare scenario would probably be trading all the young guys and all the future picks for Lillard.
Yeah, that or a less crazy nightmare scenario, 2 firsts for like Turner.
Yeah, I'm just afraid they're going to trade their picks and their young guys for like an aging vet, and we're going to get him 1 season after he's not good anymore. And he'll be on the books for 5 years, and he'll set the franchise back. And yeah, I'd almost hope for no moves rather than something like that.
And the Knicks will be like the Knicks will get John Wall tomorrow for like multiple firsts.
I would like to thank everybody for joining. Anthony, Andrew, Rob, Nomad, thank you all for joining, and we will see you soon.
Awesome.
Bye, bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye.
The show over? The Knicks made a move, Jay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we might want to record again right now.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, I'm lying.
Yeah.
But apparently, according to the rumors, the Knicks are talking about a lot of things right now. According to Ian Begley and other like reputable accounts are saying the Knicks are talking about a lot of things. But
I mean, if there was an award for talking, the Knicks would get a gold medal.
yeah, and also talking about trades just means Leon Rose got or someone in the organization got someone else on the phone.
The thing is, no moves the Knicks have made since Rose took over have leaked. So anytime I see a leak now, I immediately think, well, that's not true.
Right. No, the only in fairness, you heard the Knicks were really interested in Obi before they drafted him. So
Yeah.
so that's the one I agree on the trades so far. Yeah, there was no rumor ahead of time about Cam. There really weren't rumors about the other guy like Kemba or anything else. But Obi was like, we knew going into the draft that he had his eyes set on Obi.
Yeah. But
but you're right. They generally type left, which is better than previous. But I don't know. Yeah, it's helpful, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm probably not an emergency episode tomorrow night, but I'm around if you want to do one.
Yeah, we'll be on standby, but I don't think so. Well, there'll probably be a bunch of trades where a bunch of other teams will get better, and we could cover that next week.
Someone pointed out that the RJ Barrett has played 128 minutes out of 144 in the last 3 games.
So stupid. The Heat traded a end of the bench guy for a second round pick, which means they're probably clearing up space to get even better.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to close the room up. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you all, and we'll see.